welcome to episode 6 of Reflections of a Slightly Conscious Being, season 2. I'm Sandra Lourenco, a music artist that is on a journey towards consciousness. I am not a licensed psychologist, therapist, or coach. All information I share here comes from personal experience and doesn't mean to replace any kind of professional help. So today we are going to talk about a controversial topic: medication and other drugs.
Your medicine could be taken away. They can do that. You could wake up in the morning and it won't be there.
Why is it controversial? Well, because unfortunately, medication is not viewed by most people as a drug, just like the others. They are legal, right? Approved by society and conventional medicine. And so there's the belief that they must be different. However, if we stick to the facts and studies, it's easy to see that they are indeed drugs just like the rest. Yes, they are more controlled as their production is also controlled, whereas in non-controlled drugs, there's a higher risk of getting a faulty product, and hence the risks of taking them can also be more unpredictable, all right? But nevertheless, they are drugs, okay? I'm not saying that drugs are all bad and must be avoided at all costs. Like I mentioned several times, I usually choose the middle path, and I believe everything has its place as long as there's balance. And most drugs, not only medication, have indeed essential roles in specific situations, all right? Antibiotics, for example, and now going back to medication, they can save lives and have indeed saved many lives throughout history. But as all drugs, the more they're used, the less positive effects they have, while the negative effects increase. In the case of antibiotics, the more they're used, the more bacteria get immune to it. Also, antibiotics kill all types of bacteria, and some forms of bacteria are actually good. They work together with our organism to help several vital functions. However, sometimes the system is indeed out of balance and needs a reset. So that's what an antibiotic does. But conventional medicine has a knack for over-medication.
Mr. McMurphy, your medication.
What's in the horse pill?
It's just medicine. It's good for you.
Sometimes they are not even sure that our disease is caused by bacteria, but just in case, just take it, right? And sometimes our bodies are perfectly capable of dealing with it alone. That is changing a bit though, because, well, people are seeing that bacteria are getting immune to antibiotics. So that's changing a bit, but it's still the case. It still happens. And so we end up teaching our organism to depend on these chemicals. And the truth is, our bodies are works of art. And you can say they are the work of God, the universe, natural selection, evolution, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. They've been perfected over the course of 300,000 years. And this is just for our species, Homo sapiens. If you believe, like all evidence suggests, that all life forms started from the same one or evolved out of the same one, that means we're talking about 3.7 billion years. That's a lot of time for learning how to thrive alongside other different life forms and for optimizing the ways the body works. Yes, other life forms also learn, they also adapt, and even new ones arrive from time to time that challenge our bodies. COVID was just the most recent one, as we all know. But truth is, every 100 years, more or less, there has been a pandemic to challenge humankind. The advances of conventional medicine do help us have an advantage against other life forms like bacteria and viruses. And I don't want to in any way to deny that, okay? That's not the purpose of this episode. But do you even give your body a chance to prove their worth?
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
Or do you take drugs right away even when faced with just a minor challenge like a cold or a headache?
Live it up, baby, say bye-bye. Finally sing out, finally sing out. Finally sing out, finally sing out. Finally sing out, finally sing out.
That's why I mentioned that this was a controversial theme. My purpose with this podcast is never to impose my beliefs or my point of view or opinion upon you guys. I just want to offer you my point of view. I want to offer you some facts and some, reflections and challenge you to think for yourself and get to your own conclusions. You may end up, listening to one of these episodes. With this information, now I think this, and it's a different point of view than mine. But it's okay. At least I made you think about it. And sometimes it even changed something in your perspective. And that's all that this is about. But truth is, getting back to the topic, I live in a Western society, probably you too. And so in Western societies, conventional medicine is the norm. I was told from a young age to respect and even revere like conventional medicine, conventional doctors, like whatever they say, yes, sir, amen. And to be suspicious of all kinds of alternative or Eastern medicine because, some are fake and others are just too dangerous to mess up with, like dark magic or voodoo. So these are the beliefs of my parents and were my starting beliefs, right? That's where I started out. In my case, it was my parents. In your case, it could be other adult. It doesn't matter. Usually when we are kids, we assimilate others' values and beliefs, so we could use them as a starting point.
I'm going pro!
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. You'll probably be about as good as I was. That's kind of the way it works, and I was below average. You'll excel at a lot of things, just not this. I don't want you out here shooting this ball around all day and night, all right?
All right.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
In my case, all non-conventional healers were seen the same way as religion, actually. Something that was only in the hands of a little few, but it was powerful enough to evoke fear. But something my parents always taught me as well was to think for myself. And thank you so much, Mom and Dad, for that. Thank you.
Hey. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. All right?
All right.
You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period.
And so even though I started out with those beliefs, I was able to question myself and to question, does this make sense to me as the individual person that I am? I think that's where we make the passage of teenager to adulthood. I think teenage years are so hard, especially on the parents, because that's when kids start to challenge that. They start to challenge, our parents stop being the superheroes. We start looking at them like, oh, maybe I don't agree with everything you say, or maybe I do have different opinions. So that's kind of the passage, the rite of passage. And when we are adults, we become our own people, our own individuals. Well, if everything goes well, of course, it's not always the case. There are always exceptions, but this is pretty much how it goes. Some of you may look at non-conventional medicine the same way I did, or even have a more radical view and think it's all bollocks. Just like in medication, and there's something in common here. It's just like in medication, conventional medicine is more controlled and regulated than non-conventional medicine. And so you can indeed find many so-called healers that just want to take your money. And that's absolutely true. Yes, for sure. Unfortunately, non-conventional medicine is hard to regulate because it deals with forces or energies that are not easy to observe by standard means. Quantum physics is getting closer already has confirmed many facts that many alternative healing teachings have used for almost thousands of years in their healing teachings. If you think about it, just now science is just making this fabulous bridge between it's quantum physics is almost the bridge between science and religion, but I think spirituality is a wider term. When I talk about non-conventional healing, I'm not talking about religion, even though religion can be a form of healing, of spiritual healing. But religion is just a small part of all spiritualism. And we can include even psychology in this unknown, the study of the unknown, of things that science can not explain yet, hopefully. And I do believe quantum physics is doing a great job at bridging science with spirituality. But when I use the word spirituality, I talk about philosophy, I talk about religion, I talk about Gnosticism, which is the knowledge behind religion. Alchemy is also another form of passing that knowledge. All right, so it's basically the knowledge behind our religion, the universal knowledge, something that it's impossible to define by logical terms and using logical language, but it can be transmitted. And so it's amazing that finally, we're living exciting times. Finally, after so many years of humankind, science and all this knowledge, non-conventional knowledge, finally they are being bridged. But truth is, you don't have to believe in anything that I'm just mentioning. You don't have to believe in alternative medicine to agree that our bodies are programmed for being healthy. Okay? Yes, some of us are born with so-called flaws that cause us to have health challenges. Maybe you had an accident. Maybe something that caused you not be healthy. But that's not the norm, right? The norm is for us to be healthy. All diseases are caused by a flaw in our immune system. The only exception is when our bodies reach their limits, being old age, over effort, or not having their basic needs met, such as food and water, for example. But if you exclude all the situations I just mentioned, diseases can be caused by internal or external agents. One example of an internal agent is cancer, right? Examples of external agents are viruses and bacteria. So, internal or external, our immune systems are prepared to deal with this, right? This happens pretty much every day. You don't even notice. We have bacteria and viruses entering our bodies all the time. Our bodies produce flawed cells all the time. These are simply production mistakes. They happen. The bacteria and viruses that are entering my body, not all of them are harmful. We already mentioned this, but some are. Yeah, maybe they are entering right now. But our white cells are programmed to detect these potentially harmful agents and destroy them. That is, kind of work like Pac-Man eating those ghosts. But for some reason or reasons, and these reasons are not clear at all to conventional medicine, but they are very alternative healing methods. Some of them have great reasoning behind these reasons. We're not getting into that. But sometimes our immune systems, for some reason, fail or are down. And those agents grow, reproduce, and eventually become harmful to us, causing even death. But why is that, if you think about it? Because logically speaking, why would these agents cause the death of their hosts, knowing that also means their death? So this is a question. This is not something that I will answer all right? But it's something that, again, it's meant to make you think, right? If logic explains everything, then why is that? Why are these agents going against their survival instincts or out of their way to kill us? One reason for this, okay, this is just one of the reasons. The agent is new, and so it's still not optimized. And that was the case of COVID, the virus of COVID. It was a new virus, but this type of behavior has been already observed on other viruses. So what happens is the first COVID virus was very, very aggressive, had really aggressive symptoms, killed many people. But then it mutated and it changed over time. And nowadays, if you catch COVID, you'll probably be fine, even if you don't have the vaccines or if you don't take any kind of medication. I had the 3 vaccines of COVID. I caught COVID a lot later because I protected myself, and so I got it a lot later. And when I got it, I didn't take any medication for it. It went away on itself. And then I met people who had never been vaccinated but got COVID at the same time as I did, so probably the same mutation. And they had exactly the same symptoms as I did. And I had 3 doses of vaccine. So chances were, if I never took the shots and if I was always careful, I would probably be fine anyway. These mutations happen because there's no point for the virus in killing the host. The virus wants to thrive, reproduce, and grow. And so the better you feel, the less symptoms you have, the more healthy you are, the more people you'll infect, and you need to be alive to infect other people. So, but this is the only example I will talk about why there are some cases that these agents eventually cause the death of their host. Cancer is, of course, one of the hardest diseases for conventional medicine. Then many people, why there's still not a cure for cancer? It's just because cancer is not caused by one agent, one universal agent, like not one bacteria, not one virus. Cancer is your own body. So if you have cancer, your cancer is unique as you are. Yes, there is skin cancer, but that is just the location of the cancer. It's not the type of the cancer. It's just where the cancer is. So, cancer is one of the hardest diseases. And again, non-conventional medicine also has amazing explanations that to me make a lot of sense. But we will not get into that. Okay, this is just to make you think, if death is not the optimal factor for any of the life forces involved, why does it happen? And this is one of the paradoxes, because conventional medicine and conventional logic cannot give you a proper answer, right? Again, let's go back to the topic, because that's not the purpose of this episode today. So, most cases, our bodies are able to handle these challenges alone, being internal or external, all right? And before they scale out of control. What most people call being sick is actually our bodies going into battle mode. So what happens when we get sick is our immune system, for some reason, didn't work. And again, these reasons, sometimes medicine says, you had a lower immune system. When you're stressed, when you're under stress, your immune system is lower. But you're saying, why? Why does that happen? And conventional medicine doesn't have an answer. They just say, our immune systems are different. That's the overall answer. But you ask them why, and they have no idea. That's just true. But basically, when our immune systems don't work right away, the agent is detected a bit too late. And what happens is that what started with just one cell or one organism is now a more dangerous threat. It has multiplied, and so drastic measures are in order. So you know why you feel bad when you're sick? It's basically to force you to rest and allow your body to focus on the infection. All right, that's one of the reasons why we feel bad. It's a good thing that you feel bad. It's your organism, it's your body telling you, hey, we need to rest because we need all our energy to fight this against this invader, against this agent, whatever it is. So, you know why you don't feel like eating when you're sick? Because digestion is actually one of the most energy consuming body activities. And your body needs its energy to fight the infection, not to process food. So, yeah, when you want to force a sick person to eat, I mean, of course, you should try to eat something, but it's normal that you lower your food ingestion. All right, it's just so your organism is not totally focused on digestion. Sometimes it even makes you expel the food. It makes you vomit because your organism doesn't want food right now. Your organism wants to focus all its remaining energy on fighting the infection or whatever it is first. Okay. And what about other symptoms? Let's talk about some of the most commons. Well, fever, for instance. Fever is your body increasing the temperature to kill the agent, which is usually a lot more temperature sensitive than you are. Sneezing, nose running. I know it's a pain. Nobody likes that. And I know because, well, I do have a more sensitive nose. It's weird. Sometimes I start feeling these allergies for no reason. I start sneezing a lot. It's a family thing. My dad is like that as well. We even have a name for it. We call it sneeze attack. Is when we start sneezing without being able to stop. And we produce a bit of mucus, but then it goes away in just a couple of minutes. I do believe that's our bodies reacting to something, because when this happens, when sneezing and nose running happens, is when your body produces a mucus to trap the agents and expel them from your body. Okay, when you have allergies, it is just your immune system being hyperactive and overreactive. All right, so for instance, I'm very sensitive to cloth dust. You know, the cloth dust. When I clean when I'm making my bed, for example, or when I'm folding my clothes, the dust that is on the fibers causes me to start sneezing and produce mucus. All I need is just go outside, get a bit of fresh air, and I'm fine. But sometimes I'm outside and I get these reactions as well. And it's not hay fever. It's not any kind of specific tree. It goes away by itself. I just need to allow my body to expel the agent, and that's fine. And pain, not talking about pain. Pain is there to warn you something's wrong or to force you to stop doing something. Okay, pain can prevent further damage. For example, imagine that you feel the pain of a burn. When you feel the pain of a burn, it allows you to stop contact before the damage gets even worse, right? Or when you break a bone, it hurts you to move. And this is to prevent you from moving, because you will make things worse if you move. Sometimes when we're sick, our heads hurt so much that we just want to lay down. And that's because we're supposed to lay down and rest. The pain is there to force you to stop, to force you to reassess. You know, when you have migraines and you get hypersensitive to light, you get hypersensitive to noise, that's because your brain is needing to shut down. All right, your brain had too much stimuli and now is asking you to stay in a dark room and without noise. Your body is needing that time of silence and darkness, of not having any kind of stimuli, right? But what do we do when we start feeling sick? We take drugs that numb and even cancel what our bodies are trying to do. Does this make any sense when I put it like this? So most drugs are actually advertised as healing medicine, But in fact, most of them, okay, again, most, I'm not talking about all of them, but most of them are not healing anything. They are just numbing the symptoms, keeping you productive while causing dependency and side effects. This can be applied to pretty much all kinds of drugs, but it's a lot easier to see when we're talking about drugs that aim to treat the diseases of the mind. And talking about my personal experience, my mom had traumatic experiences growing up. And as a result, she developed one of these mental diseases, so-called mental diseases, at a very early age. She was only 16 when she had her first meltdown. She was wrongly diagnosed as depressed for many, many years and medicated as such. Only when she was 40 years old or so, they changed the diagnosis. Oh, no, you're not depressive, you have bipolar disorder. Later on, they added schizophrenic as well. Schizophrenic, I just saw someone recently saying this, and I thought it was hilarious, but also very true. Is that schizophrenic is a term psychiatrists use when people mention they hear voices in their head, for example, and which means we're all schizophrenic, right? She has been taking medication since she's 16 years old. Again, this medication is not treating anything, it's just numbing her symptoms. Since she's been taking meds for so long, the dosage she takes nowadays is massive. My mom is 69 years old right now. And, well, the only way medicine still works is in massive doses. With time, she became less and less productive. As the dosage increases and time goes by, her body started also showing the side effects more and more. Nowadays, she's overweight and she barely eats. She's incapable of being independent. She's actually losing the physical control of her body. And now she even has symptoms of Parkinson. We've done tests to test if it was Parkinson or not. Everything else came clear. She doesn't have Parkinson, but she has all the effects of Parkinson. And guess what? For the doctors, this is all normal. They are the side effects of the meds she's taking, and there's nothing they can do about it because, well, with her condition, she cannot stop taking the medicine. She has a psychiatric doctor. She goes to sessions, and these sessions are just to access the meds she should take and to adjust dosage, nothing more. It saddens me a lot as her daughter to see this, but this is my parents' choice, and I have to respect it, even though I don't agree with it. I wish they would try other ways, but, well, I must respect it. And the reason I'm telling you this is I've told this story and many times to people who are considering taking any kind of this medication or starting, because this is a black hole. All right. And you start taking it and then you cannot sleep without it. And then you cannot function without it. And it's just, you become an addict. And it's no different than being any kind of drug addict or alcoholic. It's no different. Yes, most medication to treat these kinds of conditions are just like any other drug. They can be fun here and then. There are people who take it. It's fun to go to bed and sleep right away. I'm sure other kinds of drugs can be fun. I'm sure you have a lot of fun if you drink alcohol. But some drugs can be even helpful, all right? Yes, for sure. And when we're talking about extreme cases, people needing to calm down, people that need to shut down their brains and they don't have any other way, and they are just too into it to stop without medication. Yes, medication can be helpful and can even be, the only choice. For sure. But always keep in mind that these drugs are highly addictive and they have all these side effects. right? I'm sure that all the years that my mom took those meds, I'm sure the doctors thought it was for the best. I'm sure her parents thought it was for the best. I'm sure my dad also thought it was for the best. But now we are seeing the results after so many years of meds. And it's sad. And doctors don't talk about this. They should. But they don't talk about this when they give this medicine to people. There should be a disclaimer. But they don't say this. So going back to my question, is this the answer? Are medication and other drugs the answer? It depends. And I know my answer is always maybe, right? But most times, they are definitely not the answer. They can act as a buffer, all right? While their chemical window is open, you may regain a much needed clarity without being consumed by the symptoms that you are experiencing, okay? But never forget that this chemical window is short and comes with a really high price in the medium or long run, all right? I know you don't like feeling sick. No one does. It's no good for society either, right? That's why, of course, all this medication makes sense. And so, of course, it's a good thing. Western culture is all about being active and productive. And if you don't feel sick, you can go on working. Yay. Thing is, most diseases will go by much quicker if you give your body a chance to heal itself. Your body is so effective that even when you take drugs and don't rest, it still can do its job while you're sleeping. But it will take you longer, all right? So learn to accept, this is the first step, learn to accept the symptoms for what they are, all right? If you have lower tolerance to pain or fever, it's probably because since you were a child, you took painkillers and your parents, of course, had the best intentions for you. And so you took painkillers or other type of numbing drugs so you didn't feel the pain. We all know someone who deals extremely bad with being sick. If you don't know anyone, chances are that's you. I'm sorry.
Busted again.
Good news is we can all learn to deal with being sick and to feel pain, all right? I'm not saying you should go walk on burning charcoal, all right? That's not what I'm saying. Just trying to challenge you to do something different, okay? Next time you have a simple cold, don't fight it with meds, all right? Don't take meds. Give your body a chance. Over time, I assure you, it will become easier and you will start noticing that the disease will disappear a lot quicker than with the meds. Another advantage is that when you do need to take medication, imagine that the pain is too strong. Imagine in case of women, not most of us, but many of us deal with menstrual pain, and it's a lot. For some people, I'm lucky on that field, but I also have experienced some pain, and sometimes okay, on that case, let's take a painkiller because the pain is being too strong. If you never take meds, good news is when you do need, everything will work like a charm. Why? Because your body is not used to it. So for instance, I see people taking, paracetamol. For me, 100 grams of paracetamol has a really high effect on me. I feel it right away, and I still feel the pain, but I feel the numbed pain because I do have a higher sensitivity. I know I cannot I don't do creative work as well when I'm under that kind of medication, so I try my best not to take it, but sometimes yes. I'm not saying I never take it. I do my best to never take it. Then sometimes we see people that need to take a really, really high dose and it doesn't do anything. Well, it's probably because your bodies are already used to it, and so you are losing the chemical window. That's what's happening. But of course, again, if you don't get better, please take medicine. Please go see a doctor. preferably don't self-medicate. Preferably, at least give a chance to a doctor to do the damage. All I'm asking is for you to give your body a chance to prove itself and start easy, okay? Start with a cold. It won't develop into something worse if you don't take medication. It will develop into something worse if you don't give your body a chance to heal. You know, when I had a pneumonia, it was not because I was not taking medicine. I was actually taking, I think I was taking it. But I forced myself to stay productive. I forced myself to carry on working. And so I didn't give my body a chance to heal itself, and then I paid a really high price. So what about diseases of the mind? Because I'm talking about physical diseases, right? What about diseases of the mind? The one that I'm mentioning, that drugs are, well, they can be a temporary buffer. So you have more time to learn how to deal with the symptoms and to deal with the disease itself. But they are not the answer. So what to do about diseases of the mind? Well, if medication is not the answer, what is? Where is the solution? Where can it be found? That, my friends, is a whole new team. We'll fill one episode or many more, all right? So I won't be dealing into that today. This is all I have for you guys today. Hope you made you guys think. Hope this episode was helpful to you. As always, please feel free to comment, like, share, reach out, and all of that. Meanwhile, if you have ideas, suggestions, or questions, whatever it is for future topics or past topics or this topic, whatever, mail me at mail@sandralourenco.pt. See you next week.